now you are at a company called Fanfix, part of Superordinary. Talk about the companies, what you do, and what the vision is there.
Yeah, so I'm going to go into the whole story because I think that's the best way to articulate it. I was at Patreon, who I would assume everybody here is familiar with. Obviously, the leader in terms of creator membership, leading the mid-market department of Patreon. So that was all creators making anything from $5,000 a month to $20,000 a month. But interestingly, I met two guys who were really kids at the time with a vision that at the time, and trust me, this story gets to, boy, what a fool I was, but dismissed it fully, and they were like, hey, we have an idea for a creator membership thing. I meet with the two of them, and they articulate to me, they say, listen, we have this vision, which is for all of these Gen Z creators, there has to be an angle for membership. And it's not Patreon, and it's not OnlyFans, which OnlyFans is a platform I'm sure nobody here is familiar with, but there has to be an angle that exists. And at the time, I said, hey, let's keep in touch. I don't know if I want to come on board. Fast forward 11 months, they sell the company to a parent company, and they go, hey, would you want to come on now to lead the whole operation in terms of creator, go to market, everything else? I've come on and worked as the CRO to really scale that, but the short of Fanfix is we're now at a point where we have thousands of creators. Revenue right now is quickly approaching 8 figures monthly. We have millions upon millions of fans engaging through the platform. And really how I articulate it to people, Jim, is, imagine you're a Gen Z creator, right? You're somebody who came up on Snapchat or TikTok, and you're going, what do I do for membership? Well, again, one end of the spectrum is Patreon, which that feels like Facebook for membership, which I apologize if anybody here uses Facebook, but in the US, I don't need to say
Don't
anymore.
go to Vietnam and say that.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I know there's Facebook execs here, so I want to be very, very careful. And then, obviously, the opposite end of the spectrum is OnlyFans. I don't need to say why that's going to be an obstacle. And again, we just found really strong product market fit with the new wave of creators who are creators who came up from Snapchat and TikTok and have since evolved their audiences. And now, it brings tears to our eyes many times when we have a creator who was working at a daycare while making TikToks every single day. Now she just bought a house. And that was overnight money that she started making when she made a Fanfix.
Okay, so tell me about Fanfix. I'm a creator on TikTok. Let's imagine I'm a creator on TikTok, and I have 1 million followers. What do I do? What does Fanfix give me? When I go to Fanfix, what do I get when I sign up, and how much does it cost, and why would I do it? So
it's really simple. It's similar economics to OnlyFans, which did really pioneer a kind of new model for creator membership, but it's 80-20 split, a platform fee of 20% on our side, and the creator gets to make their Fanfix. They have fanfix.io/Jim Louderback, and Jim has his incredible community, and sets a monthly subscription price, but also, and I think this is something we can explore, where a ton of revenue is for creators that I think a lot of people don't realize. And in Fanfix, it's been very powerful, and many other membership platforms like Patreon are now leaning into it, is messaging. Messaging is massive. So there's a messaging price. A creator can say, if you want to message me, that's $3. And also, we can send out other content that'll be bonus content that even if you're a subscriber, we're essentially upselling you. And it's really that idea of one-on-one engagement, but also upselling, that is the true unlock of
It sounds a little similar to what Mohammed was talking about, where he's got the, how do I make him stop using the pacifier? And maybe there's a video on it that you charge for, but in this case, you actually talk to the pacifier junkie.
Exactly.
Directly. I don't think that's the right term, but whatever you want to call it. So if I'm a creator and I'm making $3 a message, and it's like, like a WhatsApp, I assume it's a text message, right?
It's within the platform.
Okay.
So it's within the app Fanfix, there's a one-on-one message.
And it could be text, it could be video, or just straight text?
It's just text, but the creator can send over a video, a photo, anything else. We obviously limit that on the fan side in case, people send unwanted material through the messages.
So $3 a message, as it were. That sounds like you send a lot of messages to make a little money. What's the upsell look like?
So it would be, imagine if you're a creator, you could be chatting back and forth $3 per message. That quickly accumulates if you think about a text conversation. But then there's also upsells that happen. Because really, again, creator membership, which I think a lot of people don't realize, but it's really just e-commerce, right? Like, it's funny, it sounds so abstract, like, oh, creator membership, everything else. No, it's really just e-com, right? It's the idea of strong top of funnel, engaged community, leading to some sort of sell or checkout or something else. So similarly, how these upsells work, when you're chatting back and forth with a fan, right? Not only are you, yes, making revenue per message, but more importantly, you're strengthening a bond that then that person feels so much more ingrained into this community that it's a no-brainer to buy the upsells, everything else. So it's this incredible win-win.
Okay, what kind of upsells are there? Like, are you saying? You're like upselling a photo, signed photo, upselling something?
It could be, we'll have a lot of lifestyle creators on Fanfix. And it would be Jim, like, imagine I'm Jim Louderback on Fanfix, which you would crush, I would subscribe. I'm sure most people here would subscribe.
Okay, so
but imagine
we're there.
You're giving insights into the creator economy, and part of the subscription, everybody knows, okay, Jim gives a weekly video. But then you say, hey guys, spicy hot take here. Get ready, I talk about TikTok and my disagreements with the ban or whatever it might be. That video is an upsell. And just imagine, generally, if that's just an upsell on an e-commerce page or a membership site, it's like, well, why would I want to do that? What's the value of me actually, paying for it? But guess what? Imagine if Jim has been chatting back and forth with these fans and they feel so ingrained into his community, then they're way more inclined to buy these upsells.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, if it's messaging back and forth in text, do you see a future where there's like a virtual version of your favorite creator? You don't know if they're real or virtual?
So this is really interesting. And there's obviously companies in the space like Replica and many others who focus on those sort of AI, I hear it as synthetics. Here's the truth, is with a lot of these membership platforms, it is that parasocial relationship. We've experimented, we had serious conversations about, this is in the AI boom and everything else. We're like, okay, do we start enabling AI creators and avatars and everything else of that nature? Maybe that's the next step to what we're doing. But ultimately, the reason I'm almost a little bit bearish on the potential there is there has to be believability of I'm really connecting with somebody, I'm really doing this. We've seen some cases of straight up AI creators making a paywall, and it does work, but even in those instances, there needs to be a sprinkle of, hey, but this is really me. This is the person who actually is doing it. So I have a really hard time believing that these creators that are going to be fully, it's called in the space, they say like synthetic create, like just not real AI generated. Is a fan really going to feel like, oh man, this is my friend or my girlfriend or whatever, right? Is it going to feel real? I think they will have a hard time deluding themselves into thinking that this is real.
But in the event that it is, or in the event that people do fall in love or build parasocial relationships with synthetic creators that are actually fully AI, is that something your platform supports?
We will support it.
Yeah, we're going to do it at some point.
If we want to put
if it's a business, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move away from just the Fanfix specific to I'm a creator. I've got hundreds of thousands, millions. I've got a lot of followers. How do I incent them to move to one of my private communities, whether it's Fanfix or Patreon or Kajabi or something else? Like, what are the best practices to make that happen?
Totally. So again, this is where I go. Creator membership at the end of the day is e-commerce. And in many ways, it's the modern e-com, right? Like Kajabi is a great example. That is, I believe, far and away the top course platform for creators who are selling a course, selling something digital. And then there's other things where it's Patreon. Hey, maybe it's for my podcast bonus episodes, or maybe, Fanfix, it could be a more parasocial one-on-one relationship, whatever it may be. Again, at the end of the day, it's e-commerce. What really matters is the top of funnel. Like, no matter how well you optimize within a platform, it really means nothing if you're not maximizing the potential through marketing. And that really is the game of everything. So to do it correctly, again, what I find the most fascinating is course creators. And I'm sure anybody here who has ever used Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, 7 swipes in, you find somebody who says, here's how I make $20,000 a month, and it's so easy. You're gonna watch those videos. You're like, okay, this is, tell me how you make $20,000 a month. I'm calling bullshit, but let me see how you do this. And then what they do is they give genuine advice that is actually, actionable. It's stuff that you go, okay, wow, I can do something here. And that makes that conversion to, again, the e-commerce store, or in the case, it could be a Patreon, a Kajabi, anything else, going, yes, I've already extracted so much value that I am happy to go behind the paywall or pay whatever regardless of the price, because I know this person is legit. They've already given me seriously actionable advice.
Right, so give them something for free that's really actionable and good and valuable. Don't just like hint, and you gotta pay.
Exactly, yeah.
So, speaking of courses, you actually did a course for a little while on LinkedIn to help people, and I've actually never asked you this, but it sounds like it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I was one of the people
You're not
it wasn't
a course person.
Yeah, it's hard. Doing a course, I have a small following on LinkedIn where I talk about the creator economy, and myself and another friend were like, okay, let's make a course to teach people about doing LinkedIn, everything else. Again, we did it more almost as a consulting service where it was, hey, we're gonna do Zoom and we're gonna be in there, it's gonna be video, everything else. But truth be told, the more scalable approach, and I think this speaks, Jim, to where the industry is headed, would be a digital course. And I really think a lot of people don't know the revenue opportunities that exist in this space, and especially on LinkedIn, and where I've developed a following, is trying to highlight it. So I'll let everybody know, I think we'll put it this way, the top 2 most ungodly, if you saw the data that I sometimes see through friends, your jaw would drop to the floor. Revenue opportunities goes 1, things like OnlyFans. Dare I say more? We all know that. It's obvious. I'm gonna go right past it. 2 is creator courses, where I'm not kidding, Jim. I've seen people who have communities of 10,000 followers. They'll say, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to do copywriting. Right? Like, I'm gonna teach you how to approach different brands and, write their emails or write their newsletters, and they'll pay you $2,000 a month retainer, but buy my course, first it's $500, and then you're gonna do this. The amount of money that people are making through selling digital courses is truly, I know one example of somebody who has 10,000 followers, and they're doing gross $50,000 a month through the digital course. And again, it's not a course that they show up to.
Right,
they're
these
just
are
selling.
Not in-person courses. They're basically videos that you've done that take you through it, and maybe some workbooks and things like that, but there's no real one-on-one connection.
Exactly, yeah, and again, that game is the same idea. It is aggressive top of funnel, mostly through short form, then ultimately going to, whether it's a Kajabi or a Patreon or a Fanfix, in the revenue that some of these 19-year-old kids are making by having good lighting and sitting in front of the camera and going, this is how I made $10,000 a month effortlessly, and I can teach you how to do it too. It's some of the most insane revenue I've ever seen in my decade plus working with creators in this space.
So I'm struck by the fact that we've got Kajabi, we've got Patreon, we've got Fanfix, we've got all these others. Do you think that it's an opportunity for an all-in-one app that pulls it all together, or is it more of their individual best-in-class that you as a creator should work with?
I think it's going to be the latter, totally. Again, in a similar vein of where we really grew with Fanfix is saying, technically, these creators could make an OnlyFans or a Patreon. But guess what? It's a lot of the brand, it's the essence, it's the everything. And I think for a lot of creators who do courses, right, it's going to be, I could do these other platforms, but Kajabi is synonymous with making courses. So therefore, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a recent fail in trying to move your community into a paid community, try to move your YouTubers into something paid. I want to talk about Watcher and Watcher TV for a minute. These guys were like, they had a couple BuzzFeed people, they were doing great, they had a great YouTube channel, and one day they said, goodbye YouTube, and if you want to see any more of our videos, you got to come over to our paid service, which is $5 or $6 a month. The fan reactions were awful.
Yeah.
Why did that fail, and what would you recommend to them to do it better?
So I think this happened this past month, It's one of the most important things in the industry that has happened, I'd say in the past like 3-4 years, and not enough people I think are aware of it. So again, kind of echoing what Jim said, what happened with this was these guys have a YouTube channel, it's unbelievably popular, and they go, hey guys, big countdown to the audience. Something huge is happening, and get ready, we're gonna make a big announcement. And the announcement is, we're no longer gonna upload to YouTube. Instead, it's going to be solely on our website, and it's going to be this content. And guess what? And they say, which may have been perceived as a little tone deaf, they said we landed on $6 a month, because everybody can afford $6 a month. Right. You know, does not go well for people they know are probably doing very well in YouTube AdSense, so on and so forth. Ultimately, and by the way, conversely, there's a platform called Dropout, which came from College Humor. If anybody knows College Humor, the media empire, they have a subscription service called Dropout, $6 a month. It's an unbelievable success. Like, you know, without divulging monthly numbers, it is unbelievable how much revenue this is pulling. The big difference, and it speaks for membership as a whole, is if you are creating a membership platform that you want people to come behind, the value needs to be so unbelievably many multiples more than what they're paying, good in quality. At the end of the day, the issue with Watcher is, imagine for them, they were saying to their fans, they go, hey guys, if you want to see the exact same content, we're just not going to do it on YouTube anymore. Now you have to pay $6 a month, sorry. Whereas, say, Dropout, which comes from College Humor, which is a runaway success, they actually similarly have ceased production on YouTube. But oh my God, for $6 a month, the amount of content, because I had to study this, I had the same thought, like, why is it working with one but not the other? The amount of content, the amount of shows, it's new series every day. It's so overwhelming, the value that you get for $6 a month, that it makes it a no-brainer.
Well, I also think that there should have been more of a ramp if you were gonna do it. It's like, let's wean people over gradually versus like ripping off the Band-Aid right away, right? It's not like, oh, well, guess what? All that stuff you got for free, well, it's no longer here at $6. Versus, okay, we're gonna do a new thing over here, we're gonna start charging for it, and I still think to do it right, it's a free and a paid version that are gonna make it work.
Totally.
Not everybody is College Humor. I also think that the hubris was there for sure, but I wonder, you know, what they did now is they said, okay, well, we're gonna put our stuff on YouTube after 30 days. I still think that's a problem because people feel like they're missing out. I think they're gonna lose audience, but you know what, I will say, John Uche, who worked at YouTube for a long time, is a great consultant, works with a lot of creators. He actually had a point of view, which when he put it out there, I was like, duh, I should have thought of this. He's like, you know what, Watcher, you got a lot of people working there. Cut your frickin' salary so that you're making money and then do it slowly versus trying to say, we're spending all this money and we're gonna justify it by moving you over here.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, so we only have a little bit of time left. I'm gonna ask you the obligatory AI question. What do you think about AI and how it's gonna change everybody in the creator economy?
I don't believe it's gonna be as disruptive as people think it's going to be, which is a spicy hot take. There, I said it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of the tired sentence that we've been hearing a lot that I'm gonna regurgitate is, it's going to make individual workers a lot more effective and better. I think if I was starting a YouTube channel tomorrow, again, like, I would hire a professional thumbnail art or somebody to oversee thumbnails and everything else. And I'm like, I hope you use the tools at your disposal. Just because these tools exist, somebody still has to oversee them. So I think there's gonna be, imagine if it's an editing team and it's AI that facilitates editing, you're still gonna hire a lead editor. Maybe, you know, the editing team would be 3 people, instead it's 1 person and 1 person who's, you know, slightly more part-time. It's like, I think it's going to be nominal, the impact in terms of like creators and their teams. I hope this isn't being filmed because 5 years from now I'm going to be humiliated when it's just robot teams
we got to film
over.
it. I'm now saving that clip with Opus clip.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, real quickly, creator that you think is under the radar that people should pay attention to.
Oh my gosh. There is a guy on TikTok who he's promoting his like it's honey. Which is bee related.
Beekeeper, honey.
Yes, exactly. But he's promoting his honey product by doing, and I don't remember his name, but I'll find it in case anybody's curious. But he promotes his product by talking about the downfall of other products in the influencer space and saying like how, you know, creator makes a brand and it didn't connect for reason A, B, and C, which now there's so many failed creator brands. So super
leans
successful.
into the fails. Very cool. Dylan, thank you very much for coming up here.
Thank you.